Hey, what's up, World Wrestling Live, Wrestling Nation? Thanks again for following me and showing me support. We have another amazing wrestling mind in our country and a world wrestler. He's actually right now currently the Nebraska USA Wrestling Executive Director. He's a 2016 Olympian for Bulgaria. He was on the 2015 World Team. He's a Dave Schultz champion, a two-time NCAA All-American. Wrestled for Nebraska and at Boise State. He was second and third at the NCAAs, and he's with us now. Coach Georgi Ivanov. I hope I didn't screw that up.
No, you're okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction, and thanks for having me on the show, Dan. I truly appreciate it. I'm honored.
Yeah, man, I love it, and I can't wait to talk about your new feather singlet, the weigh-in singlet that you have, and I think that's definitely going to make a difference, because I know at least when my son first read the rules, he was like, "Damn it, I can't weigh in my underwear anymore." I know the concern is to have the singlet on, so it'll be nice to talk about that. But I mean, first things first, what have you been doing through this pandemic? How has it kind of affected your off season?
Yeah, it's affected obviously the whole world, but as far as me personally, I try to stay positive. Obviously, I've taken some precautions, right? Some measurements as far as distancing myself a little bit, and being careful with not going out in public too much, and washing my hands extra, a lot more often, and just all the guidelines and recommendations. But as far as Nebraska USA Wrestling, obviously it's affected us in a way that we cannot necessarily host tournaments yet. We are fortunate that we're going to have our first tournament, our state tournament, actually in August 1st and 2nd. So we're super excited about that. But yeah, it's just kind of, it's removed the whole wrestling season for the summer up until this point, and now we're fortunate enough to get back on the mat. So that's been exciting. But yeah, as far as my personal life, it hasn't affected me a whole lot.
Okay, so I mean, is your company the best wrestler? Is it something that needs tournaments to be happening for you to have tables set
No,
up?
not at all.
Are you strictly virtual?
Yeah, we're well, not strictly, but we are virtual, and sometimes we have booths at events. But yeah, mostly online at thebestwrestler.com. And yeah, the feather singlet, right? We're gonna talk a little bit about the feather singlet. It's the lightest singlet in the world. It's developed for weigh-ins. And obviously it varies by size, right? Because of the fabric that you use for, the difference between youth small and double extra large, in adult. But the light, it goes anywhere between 0.1 tenth, so 1/10 of a pound, and up to just under 2/10 of a pound is our heaviest. So this is just an amazing replacement of your other singlet, your regular singlet for weigh-ins. I mean, this singlet weighs 1/10 of a pound, and a normal singlet weighs anywhere between 0.4 to 0.6 of a pound. So it's amazing. And with the new rule change, now that you must weigh in with a singlet in high school, not only international styles, but also in high school as well for folk style. This is huge. I mean, this is huge. If you don't have one of those feather singlets, then you must really enjoy losing extra weight.
Yeah, and I thought it was great. I mean, when we first started talking, and you had mentioned that you have created the weigh-in singlet, I thought it was amazing, because I know, when the new high school rules came out, and I shared them with my son Daniel, the first thing he said was, "Oh man, but the singlets weigh 0.6 or whatever it is, and now I got to work on this and work on that." So to have the feather singlet now is going to be a huge benefit. And so talk a little bit about it, and then also, I know you mentioned it, but also if I'm a wrestling team out there, if I'm a club team, if I'm a high school team, whatever, and I wanna personalize it for my team. Do you personalize them? Can you order them in bulk? What's the process?
Yeah, absolutely. So we only do that. We only customize it for bulk orders for 20 singlets or more. And the reason for it is because it's time consuming, right? And you can tell I'm kind of a busy person. But it's time consuming, and we don't want to customize one or two singlets. It just doesn't make sense for us, right? You can go online and you can purchase the designs that we already have. They're in regulations. They're UWW regulation approved, right? Everything, the logos, the UWW logo, the sponsored logos, like the name, all the requirements are on there. It's a UWW requirement approved singlet, so you can wear it anywhere, not just for folk style, but for your summer wrestling as well. So back to your question, yeah, we do customize singlets for teams, but it's only 20 singlets and more.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. So they know where to reach out. And then now something that I found pretty interesting too is, a lot of the wrestlers, they don't have any, certain drink to maybe get them ready or prepared, and you have something called Grit, I think it's called, and talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, Grit it's been amazing, man. That's when we developed it initially, it was specifically for wrestlers. That's what it was for. I mean, it was, wrestlers would always contact us and ask, hey, what do we drink after weigh-ins? What do we drink during our weight cut? How do we feel the best? And then we quickly find out that there is really not a replacement. The best that they were drinking is Pedialyte, which is a baby drink, right? It's to replenish babies against diarrhea or sickness, right? So it was kind of ridiculous that there was no good quality electrolyte drink with carbs in it and with glucose for energy. And I can go in detail, but about the nutrition of it, but it's just by far the best drink. And we have athletes like, Jaden Cox that were endorsing the product and drinking, and they loved it. So that drink has definitely made a lot of noise, and it's by far, I can say with clear consciousness, the best drink on the market. And we're actually launching a new product. This is kind of working out great, but we're actually launching a new product that's called 10x Grit, which means 10x, 10 times better grit. We've certified it with Informed Sport, Informed Choice. It's third-party certified, which is approved for NCAA athletes, Olympic athletes, anybody that have peace of mind. It's third-party tested. Every batch gets tested. The manufacturer is the best in the country for this stuff. The whole facility is Informed Sport approved, and it's the new flavor is called Fiji Sunrise, it's delicious. But anyways, it's a new product that we're launching here in the beginning of August. So I'm excited to announce this on your show.
Nice. Yeah, I love it. And I have a 10X face mask.
Do you?
Yeah, I got it from Cardone. I ordered it
Yep.
at 10X.
Yep.
So that's awesome, man. And on your page, you've got some super dope stuff. I saw where you have these really badass stickers, and you've got cool shirts, and there's all sorts of cool stuff on there. And we'll make sure that you provide a link on here when we get done, so that people can go and check it out. And yeah, man, Grit, it's awesome. I know that I'm always, my son's always making me go buy Gatorade, and Powerades, and all that stuff, and putting them in coolers and bringing them for the whole team.
Sugar water. All it is sugar water, man.
Yeah. So it'll be good to have something else on there. And then we'll have to get together, God willing. High school wrestling is going to happen this year, and I'll make sure I get with you so we can try to get something put together for our team, and that'll be awesome. So first of all, on the wrestling side, talk about you as a wrestler now. First of all, right now, are you involved in any coaching right now? Are you coaching any clubs? I know you're involved at the at a professional level because you're part of the USA committees and things like that. But as far as in a room teaching, are you still doing that?
So great question. Yeah. So I've done a lot of personal training, like one-on-one, right? But now actually my father, Ivan Delchev, is what he's known by, Ivan Delchev Ivanov. He used to be the head coach at Delchev Training Academy out in Wendell, Idaho. He's done a tremendous job there, and he's moved now to Iowa. And I'm glad that he's back in. And by the way, for those of you that don't get confused, right? I work for Nebraska USA Wrestling, but I live in Iowa. I'm right on the border of the two, so that's why it's a little confusing. But anyways, my father has moved to Iowa now, and we're super excited. He's launching a club, and it's going to be a club that is unlike anything else that we've seen around here, anyways. And it's a place where he can implement his system of training, which is amazing. It produces results like no other. And if just to, I guess, back that statement up, he was in Wendell, Idaho, a town of 3,000 people, right? And he, in 4.5 years, starting from scratch, they built the building. In 4 years, he had 2 world team members, 11 national champions, and 59 All-Americans, which is unbelievable for 4 years that you start from scratch. So he's moved now to Iowa. I'm excited to see what he can do in the Midwest, but the club is going to be unbelievable, right? We're going to offer 8 workouts, 8 practices a week for our full-time members, Monday through Saturday at 6 practices, and then we're going to have 2 morning workouts for strength and conditioning as well. We're going to focus on nutrition. We're going to focus on mindset and mental training, mental toughness, and everything that really goes into wrestling. And we call it environment for success. The club's going to be called The Best Wrestler, and it's an environment for success because, we don't want our athletes to be successful on the mat only. We want to develop individuals that succeed in the world. They're a positive force in the community. They're a positive force in their families, and that know how to overcome obstacles in the future, whether it's in school and work or whatever it may be. And we offer all that for them. So I'm really excited to bring that to the Midwest.
Yeah, and it seems like others are excited too, because a very well-known coach in Coach Pete DiPoli, who's got a little stud himself that's thrown around. He's out in Iowa now, and I saw him post, man, great news. The best wrestlers coming to Iowa. So I'm sure those guys out there are real happy to have you. And now your career. Now, did you start wrestling in America or in Bulgaria?
Oh no, yeah, I came in the U.S. after right before my senior year of high school. I was 16 years old, so I actually had wrestled my whole life up until that point in Bulgaria, and I was fortunate enough. My father was still competing. My father is multiple times, close to 10 times national champion in Bulgaria. So he, I was fortunate enough to grow up in the wrestling rooms with him and watching him train and following him and cheering him on as he was competing. And then we made the transition where he started coaching me and he started cheering me on. But yeah, so I've wrestled since I was 3 or 4 years old. I was 4 times national champion in Bulgaria before I came to the U.S. and I was 5th in Europe. Took 15 Europeans, and then. I've shared my story before, but real quick, I went through some obstacles. I got hurt, didn't know if I can compete again. They kicked me off the team. It was a very unfortunate, sad feeling, to find out that wrestling is only up until some point, and then if you're not good at wrestling, they didn't back you up. There was no loyalty, and I had to quickly realize, I had an aha moment that, hey, wrestling is only going to be up until some point. You need an education. You need to focus on personal growth and stuff like that. And that's when I made it a goal of mine to come to the U.S. and further my education, go to college, get my bachelor's, and now I have my master's as well. And it's just, it was a quick realization that wrestling is not everything. It's the attention is good. The attention is awesome while you're doing well, while you're on top, but you can just as quickly lose everything. And that was a big wake-up call for me, and it was a pivotal point for me in my life, but anyway, since then it's been amazing. The rest is kind of history, but yeah, no, I wrestled in Bulgaria.
Yeah, and then you made the 2016 Olympic team. You got to experience that. I've spoke to Olympians. I've had the honor of speaking to other Olympians on the show. So obviously I can't believe I get to talk to Olympians. I never expected when I started this. It's super awesome. But yeah, I mean, talk about that feeling of standing in the infield opening day and watching them light that fire and the anthems going on. I mean, I talked to some other Olympians. They say, look, everything was good. I was okay until that point. That's when you start breaking out in sweats and realize, wow, shit, I'm here.
Yeah. Well, so I was actually not a part of the opening ceremony because wrestling is so late in the game. So Bulgaria, we didn't go there until halfway through, but our team. But I was a part of the closing ceremony, and that was also an amazing experience. It was very emotional. First of all, I knew my career was over. I was done after that. That was one thing. Second of all, I didn't necessarily finish it the way I wanted to, right? Yes, I became an Olympian, and that was amazing. That was a dream come true for me, but I was hoping I performed a little better. Unfortunately for me, a lot of things happened before that where I didn't have a clear mind, right? I had a few injuries in my training before that, and just a lot of drama. You know, I don't necessarily want to get into the whole thing, but there was just some drama that I experienced with Bulgaria, and uh, you know, that made it little different of an experience that I was hoping for. But still, nonetheless, you know, I knew I was an Olympian. I knew that was life changing. I knew that was a dream come true for me. And just being a part of the closing ceremony, I really soaked it all in, and it was amazing. I mean, you know, for me, it was once in a lifetime. Some athletes are fortunate enough to experience it multiple times, but there are very few of them. So it was an amazing experience.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I mean, your name's in the books forever.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's a blessing. Like I said, it truly is a blessing. I get to wear that title for the rest of my life, and I try to you know, I try to make the best of it. I try to be a positive ambassador for the sport. I try to lead by example. You know, I try to spread the word about wrestling and what it has brought to my life, right? It definitely has been a vehicle for me to grow and to meet a lot of people like yourself, and it's been just amazing. So I'm blessed. I appreciate you.
Well, and I think it's helping your dad and you grow a really successful club too, because I'm sure because of your trials and tribulations, you've incorporated things into the best wrestler that helps
Yeah,
prepare kids to not have to go through some of the obstacles that you had to face transitioning from different levels.
yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing, you know, a lot of people say, oh well, you know, yeah, you're an Olympian, that's great, but we know a lot of athletes that are better than you and have better credentials, right? Like, you know, you look at some of the guys that are Olympic champions in the US, world champions, whatever. But here's what people don't understand. There's a difference between being a good athlete, and there's a difference between being a good coach. And there's a difference between you being a good role model, where not only are you a good coach in wrestling, but you're also leading by example in life. You're pushing, you know, kids to further themselves in their personal lives as well, and to have a positive relationship with their parents and their peers, right? It's a There's a difference in all that, and although I may not have been the best athlete in the world, right? I'm definitely not the best coach in the world, right? I'm not the best of anything, but I think I've created, and my dad and I have developed a well-rounded system that we know it works, and we know that yes, we're gonna keep improving, right? We're coachable. We keep improving. We keep learning. We keep tweaking things, but the idea is that we take all that and we pass it forward, right? We pass it on to the youth and the future generation, and we're hoping to, you know, one day to look at it and say, to look at a bunch of successful individuals, women and, you know, women and men, and just to say, hey, we had a chance to impact their lives in a way.
Well, and I think that's the most important thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. To me, it is.
There's some, I mean, like I had Lee Kemp on last week,
Yeah,
and believe me, I was just like this.
yeah. He's
That's
an awesome individual. Yeah,
like as a kid, I never wrestled. I didn't find wrestling until my son did 2 years ago. But as a kid in America, you knew who Lee Kemp was. Just
oh
you
yeah.
saw him in
As a
Sports
kid,
Illustrated.
as a kid in Bulgaria, you knew who Lee Camp was.
Yeah. But what's crazy is he's so much bigger than wrestling. Like you see what he does to give back. You see what he does for the communities. You see what he does for everything. And then to hear his story, to go from never wrestling to 4 years later, you're beating the greatest wrestler in the world or whatever. That's just
Yeah,
insane.
he's an amazing individual, that's for sure.
Wrestling
We need a lot
definitely
more
has,
of him.
yeah, yeah, the world needs more of you guys, you and him
Yeah,
and the guys that I've met. I mean, Barry Davis and Ken Shirtau, who were Olympians, and then everybody in between. Like I tell people, they're like, wow, you had a few big names on. I'm like, I've had 220 big names on, because to me,
that's right.
everybody who speaks on wrestling, I think it's important, and everybody has a different story, and everybody has a different why. And um, especially like all the college coaches, I always ask them all the same question: well, what do you tell kids to do to get recruited, and what do you expect when you're recruiting? Because I think to hear from all those college coaches, kids at the level in your camps and your clubs, and in high school can watch these shows and say, okay, well, more coaches said to do this than not to do this. I should probably start working on that, or I should probably start doing this. Or as I'm getting older and moving into college, it sounds like you don't want to get ridden in college, so you better adjust your bottom game, right, and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. But then also education wise, speaking to the youth and letting them know that it matters. I mean, I was a young man who, I decided not to go to college, and it was probably the worst decision I've ever made in my life because I should have, and I got educated a different way and did my own thing. But my wife went to
You
college.
know,
I tell my kids education matters and education is important, and I wish I would have done it. Um, but that's why it's so important for me to have this platform and say, look, I've learned from these lessons. I'm trying to teach.
yeah, and don't you don't. How do I say this? Yes, I'm definitely pro college, right? But I mean, just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean that you didn't get education, right? You still learned. You're still learning. I can see that you are, right. You're still learning. You're still growing. You're still doing amazing things. Just because you didn't go to college, it's not the end of the world. You can get education many different ways. Going to college is just a good experience, right? It's not for everyone, definitely, but it's just a good experience. It's a good experience. You create bonds with athletes, with especially teammates, right? Lifelong bonds, and you guys go through adversities. You go through ups and downs, and that bonds you, right? You have some common enemies, and nothing bonds you more than that, right? Not enemies, but you can say rivalry, right? It's just it's yeah, like back to your point, college, amazing. If you can do it, right? If not, it's not the end of the world. Just continue to learn and improve. Read books, right? Listen to podcasts, educate yourself, and keep doing things, trial and error. That's how you learn. Don't be afraid to fail a little bit, right? It's not necessarily a failure unless you quit on it, right? It's just a little temporary defeat. It's not going to kill you. You need that you need to fail. You need to be defeated every once in a while, reevaluate, learn from it, and keep going forward. That's the process.
Yeah, and that a question I wanted to ask you. So right now, the sport is being attacked a little bit right now nationally due to the pandemic. We're losing programs, and you're somebody that actually faced that in Nebraska, right? So first of all, talk about how much it sucked to be a kid that had a program and then you didn't, and then talk about what needs to happen to maybe save these programs and not getting them cut.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've been a part of two programs now that are cut: University of Nebraska Omaha and Boise State, and I don't have an answer for that. I don't have an answer. It's above my head. It's over my head. The decision makers are not wrestling people, obviously. Wrestling, unfortunately, as of right now, it's not a big money maker for these universities, right? Uh, but what's important is also not losing money. Okay, and we need to do everything that we can to make the sport more attractive. I don't necessarily want to shine light on the whole coronavirus and thing because it's just a negative thing, right? And I don't. It has affected the whole world in a negative way. But I also want to expose that there is always opportunities within this. Okay, what we need to do is we need to come together as a community, as a wrestling community, and make the sport greater. We're at a point where it's breaking us or making us, right? It's up to us on what meaning we give these events that are happening right now, right? With this whole pandemic and the whole, the with everything that is going on in the world, we can very easily give up or focus on the negative and just say, hey, we're doomed. The wrestling world is doomed. Or we can learn from it, pivot, adjust, focus on opportunities, focus on how we can maybe recreate the sport, how we can promote ourselves better, how we can grow our professional athletes better, how we can grow our youth better, because that's where it comes from. How we can grow women's wrestling even more, because listen, that's the future, man. Like, if we want to have wrestling, women's wrestling is huge. You have to grow the sport with both women and men. That just makes it that much more difficult for colleges to drop it, and it makes us that much more attractive to colleges to add wrestling programs when you have men's and women's. but yeah, I hope that kind of answers your question a little bit. There's a lot of opportunities for us to adjust and adapt and grow with this. There are no clear answers, obviously, but what you're doing right now, for instance, is a good example of promoting the sport. It's a good example of growing the popularity of the sport. I mean, you look at the UFC, right? What are they doing? Why are they thriving? Well, it's a promotional organization. Okay, they're masters at that. They're masters of promoting the sport. And listen, I know wrestling is a blue collar sport, right? Or that's at least that's the image that we have, right? We're hard workers. We put our nose to the stone and we grind, right? But we need to adjust a little bit. We got to understand that it's a business as well. Okay, we need to understand that our athletes need to make more money. You look at the NBA, you look at the NFL, right? The reason these are popular is the athletes make a lot of money. And because of that, the media talks a lot about them. And because of that, there's national exposure. They're on TVs. They're everywhere, right? The promotion of these sports is amazing. So I think wrestling is a very attractive sport. Wrestling is a very difficult sport. We need to find a way to be better storytellers. We need to expose our athletes and say, hey, these athletes, this is what they've been through. I mean, listen, my story, and every athlete out there has those stories, okay? But still no one has reached out and say, hey, share your story on, not no one, I shouldn't say no one. None of the largest media outlets in the sport have reached out to me and said, hey, what are you doing? What is your story? What have you been through? If they did that successfully, I know that me as an individual, I would have been a lot more attractive. I would have been a lot more known in the wrestling community. And I would have been able to have even a larger platform where I can impact positively the community. Okay. We're not maximizing our athletes. We're not maximizing their exposure. We're not maximizing their platforms. And I don't know. It's not an easy answer. But my point is we need to look at it more as an entertainment. We need to look at it more as a promotion. We need to look at it more as a business. And we need to start pitching more money into the sport. That's the only way that sport is going to grow, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, well said. And yeah, and I think all true. And we just need to band together. I mean, no, it's not ever good to see any program go away, because not only does it affects the kids, it affects the teachers, it affects the coaches, it affects everybody. So
Yeah.
well said. But are you ready for my 10 questions?
I am.
All right. So the Walsh Jesuit or Beast of the East?
Oh man, both. We need to have a lot of tournaments like that.
Yeah. Right. The Reuben sandwich or the pork tenderloin sandwich?
I'll go with pork tenderloin.
The Powerade or Escape the Rock?
I'm not familiar with that.
All right.
What's the Escape the Rock?
It's a big wrestling tournament.
Okay.
And then,
hey, if it's wrestling tournaments, I won them all.
All right. So Frenchies or hamburger pizza?
I'll go with the pizza.
All right. Lemonade or Kool-Aid?
Grit.
There we go. Grit. All right. What's more prestigious, the Fargo or the 32?
They're different styles. Man, both definitely. Super 32 is huge for folk style, right? For college. Fargo is also amazing. I don't know, man. They're, like I said, they're different styles, but they're equivalent in my opinion.
All right. The Dave Schultz or the Bill Farrell?
Dave Schultz.
Because you won it, right?
That's right. That's right.
All right. Banica or Kabachi?
I'm not familiar with that either.
But it's Bulgarian food. Banica or Kabachi?
Oh, Banica or kebabche. I got it.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Banica.
All right.
Yeah, I know. No worries. You caught me off guard here.
Yeah, and this is my last one, and it's Bulgarian food too. So if I totally screw it up, Kiyutre or Musaka?
Musaka. Yep.
Musaka. All right. So I did.
That's amazing. That's one of my favorites. You guys got to try that.
All right, I totally screwed that up when I was trying to pronounce them. No wonder you never heard of
Hey,
them.
no worries. You did a lot better than most people. No worries.
All right. Hey, Mr. Ivanov, thank you so much for coming on, man. I so appreciate it. And man, if your father ever wants to come on and shout out the new club and talk about his process and everything, please feel free to share my link with him.
Yeah.
Anybody you know that you think would be great for the sport to be on, I shared my link with you. So please feel free to share it with anyone. You don't need my permission. Just
No, absolutely. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Dan, please call me George, okay? And I truly appreciate you for having me on here. I think you're doing amazing. I commend you. I commend you for what you're doing. And I appreciate you for being a positive force in the wrestling community. Yeah, so thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope we can do this again.
Yeah, man, and we'll stay in communications. We've got each other's cell phone numbers, so
yep.
I'll hit you up. I'll have to order one of your stickers to put on my computer.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Thank you as well.